Okay, so now that we're good at simplifying expressions, and now we also know how to display our solutions, we know what a solution is, the value of the variable that makes the equation or inequality true. We know how to display the solutions. Now what we need to do is we actually need to start solving. So we're going to solve equations and inequalities. In this lesson, we're going to focus on solving equations. Solving equations really just boils down to 3 steps. Step number 1, we're going to simplify both sides. Of the equation. And what that really means, to be honest, I have over here, I made this graphic. I've had this for a while. Simplifying is when we follow sort of PEMDAS in the normal way. So we're going to do like we're going to get rid of our parentheses with this distribution. We're going to, it's kind of like this, but really what happens is we're going to distribute and combine like terms. Those are really the only things that happen when we simplify. When we're solving equations on one side or the other, it really boils down to distributing and combine like terms on both sides so that both sides are as simple as possible. The next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to solve. And we solve, what that means is isolate the variable. Get x by itself is what we commonly say. Isolate the variable. Now, a lot of times students don't know where to start. Notice that I have a backwards arrow for solve when it comes to PEMDAS. When you're looking at an equation, you want to undo, which means use inverses. We're going to use the inverses to isolate the variable. You want to do your inverses of addition and subtraction first. Then you want to do your inverses of multiplication and division second, and then if it applies, you want to save your exponents for last. So you almost do PEMDAS in reverse when you're solving. All right, and we'll look at some examples of that. I actually don't have any examples with exponents because that requires some more information, but you'll see what I'm talking about today. So we're going to deal with addition and subtraction first. Then we're going to deal with multiplication and division when we're solving, and we use inverses to isolate the variable. And then the last piece is check. We always want to check to make sure that our solution is correct. Remember, in order to be a solution, it has to make the equation or inequality true. So what we're going to take is we're going to substitute. We're going to take our solution and we're going to substitute it into the original. And we're going to see if it checks. We're going to see if we get a true statement. So also, one thing to note is, and I'm going to talk about this in a little bit, but one thing to note is when you are solving correctly, it's important to note that every step in the process has the same solution set. So what that means is remember what we're doing. We're trying to find the value of the variable that makes the equation true. Well, if you could look at it right from the start and know, then you would be done. But it's not always that easy. So what we're really doing is we're trying to find a simpler and simpler and simpler and simpler equation until we get down to a point where we can recognize what the solution is. So let me show you what I mean by that. Let's actually take a look at some examples here. So let's start with this one. We're going to solve these equations. So in this case, I want to solve for y, and it's 2 times the quantity y minus 3 minus 1 equals 8 minus y. I want to figure out what y is. Okay, so the first step is to simplify both sides. On the left-hand side, I can distribute, and then I'll be able to combine like terms. When I distribute, I get 2y minus 6 minus 1 equals 8 minus y. I can combine like terms. So 2y minus 7 equals 8 minus y. Okay, so now I've simplified as much as I can. So now is when I want to start doing actual solving step. So I notice that this one has variables on both sides. So I'm going to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 7 to both sides. That gives me 2y equals 15 minus y. And then, since I moved the constant to the right-hand side, I'm going to move the variable over to the left-hand side. So now I'm going to add y to both sides. Notice that I'm dealing with addition and subtraction first, just like I talked about. So this is now 3y equals 15. And you could probably stop here if you wanted to and go, oh, wait a minute. I know the value of y that makes this true, because this says 3 times what gives me 15. Well, most of you would say, oh, well, that's 5. I know that. So you could actually get to y equals 5. Now, if you didn't recognize that, then how did you get there? You divided both sides by 3. Okay, so let me reiterate here what's going on here. So first of all, every single step, if I did this correctly, I should be able to take 5 and plug it in for y and get a true statement. From the original problem, and then every step along the way, I should be able to plug in 5 and get a true statement. The other thing that I want to point out is I followed my steps. I simplified both sides using distribution and combine like terms. And then I dealt with addition and subtraction first, and then I dealt with division to finally get my final answer. Now the last piece is to check it. So what we're going to do is, I made a little bit of a mess there. We're going to check it. We always go back to the original, and you plug in, you substitute in your solution. And now let's simplify both sides. 5 minus 3 is 2. Minus 1, 8 minus 5 is 3. This is 4 minus 1 is 3. And that's a check. 4 minus 1 is 3. Okay, so now I purposely did one that has our favorite fractions. I want to get you guys to a point where you're not scared of fractions anymore. Fractions are just numbers, just like anything else. So here's a method for getting rid of all the fractions. Notice that I have 3 fractions in this problem. 7 over 4, 5 over 4, and 3 over 2. Look for the common denominator of all the fractions that you see. So I see denominators of 4, 4, and 2. Remember, common denominator means least common multiple. In other words, what is the smallest number that both 4 and 2 all go into? You guessed it, it's 4. Now I'm going to multiply through every single term in the equation, every one. Okay, there's 4 individual terms in this equation. I'm going to multiply every single one by that common denominator. So in your calculator, you could do 4 times 7 fourths. And when I do 4 times 7 fourths, I actually get 7. So the first one is 7x. In your calculator, 5 fourths times 5 is 4. I can show you how to enter fractions in the calculator if you need to. I'm sorry, it's not 4. It's 5. I think I said it, but I wrote it wrong. 4 times x is 4x. And 4 times negative 3 halves is going to be minus 6. And just like that, I have no more fractions in this problem. But again, all I did was a simplifying step. I multiplied both sides by 4. So actually a solving step. So this original equation and this equation have the same solution. All right, so now let me finish solving this. I'm going to minus 4x from both sides. That gives me 3x plus 5 equals negative 6. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. And I get 3x equals negative 11. And then I'm going to divide by 3. and I get x equals negative 11/3. That's my final answer. We should leave it in fraction form because that's a repeating decimal. But if I plug it in, I should get something that correctly checks. Okay, so simplify both sides, solve using inverses, check your final answer. All right, and lastly, I want to talk about just a couple of special cases that do happen sometimes when we are talking about, here we go. When we are talking about, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get my screen set here. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay, I want to talk about some special cases. Let's see what happens with these two right here. First of all, there's a lot of simplifying to be done here, so let's go ahead and do it. I've got 5x plus 35 minus 6 equals 2x plus 20 plus 3x plus 9. Then I can do some combining like terms. 5x, I can combine 35 and 6. That gives me 29. And then over here, I can combine 2x and 3x, and I get 5x. And then I can combine 20 and 9 and get 29. What happened here? Notice that the left-hand side is exactly the same as the right-hand side. So what that means is any value of x that I choose, I'm going to get a true statement. If I plug in 1 here, it's true. If I plug in 2, 3, 4, 1,000, negative 50, 4 halves, it's all the same. So what this means is we call this is called an identity. And what it means is that every possible number is a solution. So our solution is what we call, this is how we write it down, all reals. And what that means is all real numbers are a solution to this equation because I can literally plug in anything and I'm going to get a true statement. Now let's compare that with the one next to it. Got to do, again, some simplifying. Okay, and then I can combine like terms on the left-hand side. And I'm just going to use commutative property to swap places here so that you can see this. Now I want you to notice that this has a negative 2x. This also has a negative 2x, just like over here. But this time, instead of the other number being the same, 29 and 29, these numbers are different. What that means is there is no possible number that I can substitute in for x and get the same answer, to get a true statement. These are never going to be the same. If you want to take this one more step, I'll show you. Add 2x to both sides, and now what do you get? Negative 28 equals 20. That's never going to happen. That does not work. So what we have here, what this one is called, it doesn't have a special name, but there is no solution to this. There is no number that would make this equation true, whereas there is any possible number makes this equation true. So be aware of those as you're going through these, and that's it. Now you can practice, and then next lesson we'll look at the same idea except with inequalities.